Yes.
Okay. Good morning, folks. My name is Luis Hernandez. I'm the West Regional Channel Systems Engineer here for CommVault. We work very closely with cStor and the cStor team. I have a very well-capable set of engineers out there. Today, the topic is conquering big data with a simplified approach to modern data management. I'm going to take a very expansive solution and try to explain it in a very condensed amount of time. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to spend slides talking about the company. You folks can go ahead and look that up regarding our history and our accolades, and all our analyst reports and so forth are on our website. So feel free to look that up. And in the interest of time, I'm going to get right down to business and talk about our solution, what we bring to market. Really what we're talking about here is realigning the way that we manage data so that we could do it more efficiently and in a better way, in a more simplified way, so that you can manage more data, get more value out of the data that you do have, understand what that data is, how to access it, and how to manage it throughout its entire life cycle, and be able to retain that, protect it, recover it, search it, and do a series of other enterprise level functionalities around it. So in order to explain this, really, I'm going to get right down to the next slide, which is basically, like, I normally do this on a whiteboard, but essentially what I'm going to do is try to explain to you what CommVault is and what CommVault does. One of the things I get a lot when I talk about CommVault is the first thing I ask is, what do you folks think about when I say CommVault? And most folks respond, oh, well, backup. And it's true, we do protect data, but I'd like to talk about CommVault in a different way. Instead of talking about it in terms of its bells and whistles and what we do, I'd like to redefine it as a repository of data. Now, this repository is composed of a lot of things. We have, it's really a deduped an encrypted repository of data, and it's virtual. It doesn't have to be in just one place. You'll likely have another one for DR purposes in case something really bad does happen. And it's composed of a lot of things. We have regular disk in there, and with regular disk, we can drive a lot of efficiencies around deduplication and archiving. And when you talk about those efficiencies, we're talking about doing things in a way that saves money. We want to get the job done, but we want to do it smart, not hard. We want to do it in a way that we can save some money. So that's there, but there's also other things in there. Okay, folks have tape in their environment. You may hear tape is dead. It's really not dead. It may not be the go-to technology in order to do the more critical restores, but as far as data storage, long-term, archival, and low-cost storage, it's still in a lot of people's plans going forward. And we have this concept of cloud, and a lot of folks right now don't still have a solid business plan around this strategy, but it immediately, once this does begin to make sense, our customers will begin to be able to leverage that technology when it makes sense to the business. And really one of the most exciting parts about this is, trying to look for an asterisk here, but all I could find was a star, to represent yet to be named technology. Because we're a software play, we're able to adapt very quickly. Flash is dropping in price. There's also very sophisticated disk technology coming out, not necessarily in the high performance area, but as far as mean time between failures and low power consumption, that's a very exciting prospect. And being able to understand that your investment in the software technology is not lost as you begin to adopt these new technologies is very important, because we give you the option to be able to adopt these as they come along, as they make sense. So all of this is great, but really what we're trying to do is provide access. We do it efficiently, we do the dedupe and everything, but it's really about data access. And that means something different to a lot of people. To the IT user, something broke, something was lost, we need to restore something. This individual will need a very specific interface that will allow them to get the data as quickly as possible from the best place possible, whether it's a snap, a backup, an archive, or what have you. And we've been providing that service for a long time, and we're very good at it. But that's where most of the products stop, and really the story begins right there. Well, we have the end user, the yous and me's of the world. What if we could tell that individual that they'll never have data loss because their data is in this content store, and this content store is intelligent enough to know that it belongs to that specific user. So regardless of where they are or where they're connecting from, what browser or mobile device they're connecting from, they will always have access to their data. And by the way, on the end user, this is where we're putting very, Fisher Price level interfaces and phones and apps so that they can access that data. But a little more exciting financially is the professional user. This individual has a very unique, very expensive use case. Low-hanging fruit here would be the legal person looking to do some e-discovery, and careful with that term. It means a lot of things to a lot of different people. All I want to do for this individual is give him far and wide access to all corporate data corporate data assets, so that they can search all through not just through typical storage, but also through email threads, as well as IM threads, and anywhere else to find anything that they need to act upon. If all we do is reduce the amount of data that that individual sends off-site for legal scrutiny, the entire solution begins to look free, or even better. Marketing. These individuals could look at empirical customer data in order to decide which way to go forward with their product. So it's really a very unique way to look at things. HR, we can't really talk about global data access without talking about HR. They need to know about certain events that take place within the enterprise. Disgruntled employee leaves. Now you're looking at taking some, someone's laptop, some email, perhaps some files. We make sure that HR has far and wide access to all of that information, along with legal and marketing and several other teams. And these are just use cases that I'm coming up with to get the wheels turning. End users clearly will find more unique, more specific use cases that are pertinent to their businesses. So all of this is, very interesting, but how do we get the data there? Okay, well, one of the things is what traditionally folks understand as a backup. And really a backup, I like to think of it as a scrape of data. We define a geography of data, decide what needs to move, go ahead and scrape that data and transmit it to some storage. Okay, now in some environments that could be, multiple products, as we all know. There's also this concept of archive. You're bringing archive, you're also bringing that data into the content store, and if you're archiving your file system, your email, and perhaps your SharePoint, you're now talking about perhaps 3 different products to do so. And that, why you'll hear me talk about this many different products. Why that matters is because each one of those products represents a cost. Each one of those products represents an infrastructure, a learning curve, an investment. And it does so, it also represents a silo of data, okay, because your data, those functionalities don't typically talk to each other. Cloud, you may have something on the cloud there. Now, folks usually think about email right away, but what about that application that's in the cloud? What's the SLA on that application? How quickly could you get that data back if something went wrong? Anyway, we have snapshots as well. Because we are able to manage and leverage the snapshot capability on a wide series of arrays, of storage arrays, we can bring that information and make it part of the content store as well, so you can manage it with a single interface. Edge is another aspect that you may want to think about. Gartner says 66% of your corporate data assets are sitting out there on the edge. Why not bring that information in and make it accessible to legal, HR, marketing, and so forth? And one of the most exciting prospects is Object Link. Really, it's kind of an interface or an API, if you will, into this content store. Now, think about some places that may have some homegrown applications and things of that nature. Large enterprises never thought about scale when they built those homegrown applications. Well, what if they can use simple REST protocols to access all of the corporate data assets and have this be sort of their database behind that application, behind that interface? But that could possibly be a lot of different, different use cases right there. So we have access. We are doing this efficiently, but the last thing that we came up with, and inadvertently, was analytics. Now, this is going to be exciting for the IT folks, but this is also going to be exciting for the CFOs, CIOs, and really the financial owners that have to make decisions because now they have empirical data that they can back those purchasing decisions with. One of the things that we see a lot when we go out there is we ask customers, hey, so how much data do you have? And the blank looks are shocking, okay? Or never mind, what kind of data is it? Is it active data or stale? Should it be on your primary array? With this technology, you're able to answer all those questions. A lot of our partners as well are able to demonstrate, some folks talk about, storage folks talk about tiering their data, but it's difficult to tell how much of a difference that's going to make for your business. Well, now we can put some insight behind that. Now we can put some solid numbers behind that because as we're moving this data, we're also taking down information around metadata around that information regarding who created the data, how fast is it being created, where did it come from, when was it last accessed, and so on and so forth. So we have the ability to present all of that information to the various users, not just the IT user, that traditionally all other brick and mortar brings value to. We bring value to the end user, the professional, various different professional users. So a whole array of users now get value from this content store. So really when folks talk about CommVault as a backup, it's like talking about a smartphone as just a phone or just a calculator. It's sure, it is, but it's not doing justice to everything that it brings to the table. So hopefully this was able to bring to you some idea of what the CommVault solution brings in addition to just data protection.